Good morning, Louise.
Good morning, Sarah.
It's a bit of an emotional moment because it's the wrap up of our season, and just to think of how far we've come.
I can't, I was thinking about it today and I'm like, I can't believe you and I are here at the end of season one when just last year we said to each other, let's do a podcast.
I know.
I
I
can't
know.
believe it.
And just the journey and the ride, it's really been, I mean, I haven't gone back to listen to my or your episode. So I'm kind of curious to see just how far we've come by listening to it. But
Me too.
let's go through all our guests.
Yeah, let's go through the guests. I was thinking about what you just said because I've listened to some of the guests with our 12 days of adoptees.
Yeah.
And I haven't listened to us because I've been sort of insecure about it or something. And it's because I felt like we were so novice right out of the gate. We didn't know what we were doing and how we were doing it. And then it just took off this thing. And I feel like our guests now are imprinted on my heart.
Yes.
And so
My episode was the shortest of them all.
I know, because we didn't know. We were like,
we didn't know. I was like, I better shut up.
Right. Now we're like, let people talk. We could do it. We could actually do our episodes again in a new story with new things we're discovering and that kind of thing as we go forward.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have things we're finding out as we go. So our first guest was Jean.
Yes.
And
Jean, who we found through my childhood neighbors.
Through your childhood neighbors. And she is just a love. We're both friends with her on Facebook now. And so such a positive.
She comes to our Facebook lives.
Yes.
Sometime. Yeah.
I love Jean. And then John, we have John. What an amazing journey John had. I mean,
yes.
I just re-listened to John actually, and it made me cry again. And I know the story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what happened to the kids and what he had to go through in Vietnam and just the loss of like people's history. Strikes me about
history. Well, and that's true of all adoptees, right? We're just, it's what I also find incredible is where I started in thinking about adoption, where I am now in thinking about it and recognizing how traumatic it really was and how bizarre it is to think about taking a baby from its birth mother, changing its entire identity and growing up without any mirroring.
Yeah, I never thought about it the same as you. This podcast has really opened up my eyes in reading Nancy Verrier's book, obviously. And it's almost a cathartic enlightenment. Like I feel like we've been on this journey where I've been enlightened and just like the shades are open type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, the fog is lifted, as they say.
The fog is lifted.
I wanted to, this is a total, I was watching PBS a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and it was about these monkeys in China called snub-nosed monkeys. They're very, very rare, and they're up in this ecological anomaly kind of in the mountains and where these three rivers meet, the Yangtze and a couple other rivers. And they follow the way, and I don't mean this to go long and tangent, but it relates to this. And so there's a pod of monkeys that travel together of like 8 families or something. And then this documentary branched off into watching these 2 families, and these mothers were pregnant and they both had little baby boy monkeys at the same time. But one of the mothers was ill-equipped to be a mother. She did not know how to do it. And she'd leave the baby, or he'd be off on his own in a tree. And then all the other monkeys in that family were having to take care of it. And he learned quickly on his own, but he was really, really emotionally damp. Like he was very sad all the time. And the other monkey, they called the little prince because the mother wouldn't let him out of her, arms. And like, he was totally paid attention to. And the implication was he was kind of coddled, but he was just, and when he finally like wandered off, didn't know what to do. And so his cousin would like help him. And it was just so interesting.
It's exactly like people.
I mean, so this notion that like, this adoption doesn't affect anybody. It's just simply not true. It even shows in the animal kingdom. And,
Nancy touched on that when we talked about her. Even animals, like what they go through when you take an animal from its mother. And I think
little Woody, I have.
it makes me sad. Like I almost want to cry. Just what you just told me. I'm going to look at that. By the way, that's fascinating. Everyone on the podcast is going to go find this. I love that stuff.
Snub-nosed monkeys from China.
I love that.
They look like they even said in the documentary, they like when they're grown up, they look like they've had plastic surgery with these giant lips and like these eyes.
Look them up.
They're so cute.
Oh, that's crazy. That's so interesting.
Okay, so
back to our guest.
Yes. Then we had Andrea.
Andrea was awesome, and she's actually very active on Twitter and in the adoptee world.
Yes, she has a blog now where she features someone to do with adoption, something they've written each week. Darn it, Andrea! I'm sorry. Just go look her up on Twitter, Andrea Ross. And Andrea Ross her blog, yes.
And listen to her episode because she's got a really, really cool story that has to do with nature and when she figured this out and being off in the forest as a ranger and all sorts of cool stuff.
Yes.
And then we have Sam.
Sam.
I was thinking about Sam this week, I think, because he's a hoot. And Sam's one of those people in life who joined the community late in life.
Yes.
How we are, we kind of bonded over that because we're all in a community now that we didn't know we were in, because he didn't find out he was adopted until he needed a kidney.
Was in his 40s, yeah.
and,
or 50s,
and almost
maybe.
Dying. Yeah,
might have been
dying.
Yes.
He's like, oh, my mother's not my mother. Okay, so that's a great. You got to listen to that story. Who was next, Sarah?
Then we had Madeleine and Laura.
Oh, the girls
whose mother was adopted, and they had a sibling who was adopted out. So they had a real deep connection with adoption. Those girls
they're wonderful.
Yeah.
I keep up with them now, watching them.
I do too. I see them on Instagram.
Protect them. They're great. And then we had Mick from
he was in the orphanage in New Orleans.
I've been thinking a lot about Mick with the climate stuff going on because he's a climatologist. And I feel like writing him going, help, what's going on?
I know. I wonder if he saw Don't Look Up.
We need to get in touch with Mick. Actually, he's a hit. And by the way, then we had a special episode with Rebecca Autumn, the filmmaker, who's The Primal Wound, by the way, January 8th. Will this drop in time? No, but everybody needs to go and watch because she'll have it on again. The Primal Wound. She made the
Reckoning
documentary
movie. Yeah, Reckoning with the Primal Wound.
And we had Nancy and Rebecca on, and that was
exciting for us because we had manifested that.
We went into this thinking, I don't want to read The Primal Wound. We've known about it. I don't want to read it. Sarah's like, you were the one who said, let's read The Primal Wound for this. I'm like, just looking at it, I'm like, I don't want to. And now it's been life-changing.
It really has.
Yeah.
Really life-changing. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy. And Rebecca Autumn, because she presents it in such a great way in the documentary.
Yeah, she really does.
And then we had our friend,
Denise.
Yep.
Whose brother was adopted. And so she had been listening to the podcast and really was identifying how adoptees feel with how her brother must have felt growing up.
Yeah, which I thought was a really cool episode because having the sibling perspective, and our siblings haven't really wanted to come on the podcast, although they're supportive. It's been great to have that because I think other people are like, speak
for yourself. I don't think my siblings have listened.
My sibling hasn't listened, but he's supportive. I
don't even know that they know that they'd even aware that I have one. Actually, I think maybe my biological siblings have perhaps listened.
My brother sends us things for it, but I'm like, have you listened? Yeah, no, not yet. He doesn't want to. I understand. Then we had who was after
Damon Davis he has his own podcast, Who Am I Really? And his story was just well, first of all, he's just such a fantastic orator and speaker. And, it was, and just even though I knew his story and had heard his story, just listening to him was it brought up all the emotions.
It does. And every single person who listens to Damon tells us, I cried. He makes me cry. And he makes me cry. Like you and I were really watching him that day. I remember going, wow, just because it made me feel feelings again, you know, the way he is. And everyone should listen to Damon.
He's special.
He is special. Oh, he's special. As we all know, all adoptees are special.
we're lucky.
We're lucky and special. And then who came?
Oh, then we had Nikki from South Africa, who runs the home for babies.
Yes, she's been posting some neat. She can't post pictures of the babies, obviously, but she's been posting. You know, she'll post things about what's going on there. And
I never see her. Is that on Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's on Instagram, and people should follow her because she does good work in the world. Hard work.
She really does.
Hard work. And then we had
David. We've both loved him. I love David. We keep in touch with him.
We do. We send a group text with him, and he is just, everyone needs to listen to David because he's got a really fun story, but a deep story and a great message for people. And I don't know. I think he's just a gem of a person.
Yeah, love David.
I did too. Then who's next? 12 was?
Next we had, another special episode with Jennifer Utley from Ancestry. And she went through all the genealogy stuff. And that was really.
And people have liked that. We've gotten a lot of I think other people that aren't adopted that listen to our podcast, you know, friends of our show and stuff have been like, I didn't know that about Ancestry. Like really, I learned a lot from that actually. And
I did
I liked about that is they have support for adoptees that they care. I feel like she and her team care and they want the message to be correct and how they can help be correct, not just a business.
Right. They want to connect people. It's all about connection.
Yes. And it starts with their CEO who we follow too.
Yes. And then who else?
Rachel.
No. Casey.
Oh, Casey.
Representative Casey Weinstein from Ohio, and he is an adoptive father, and the adoption had just gone through this past year. So
yes, and he is a neat guy. He gives such hope for like the future of adoption, I think. And I just looked at his holiday card. He had it up on Twitter, and I was like, look, he and his family they're really quality people, and everyone should check him out. We need more leaders like him, just open and loving too. I think he's a neat person. And then who was
Rachel?
Rachel
was next. Yes.
God, Rachel.
I love Rachel. And I love how we met her and how we were able to connect with her.
Rachel's like, her whole thing is just a strength for someone so young.
Oh my God, she's so strong. And just especially knowing what she knows about her adoption and just have that kind of composure.
When you say Rachel, it almost makes me go, oh, Rachel, like just tough strength.
Yes.
And then we have our friend of the show, Eric.
Yes.
Eric David. And we love Eric. Eric's reunion stories may be one of the best.
Yes.
Like just
one of the happiest.
Yes. And he's been through a lot in life, and he's just a really cool person on the other end of it. And then we have our latest episode, Anne-Marie. And Anne-Marie, if you haven't listened, that's just our recent episode out, is everything. Like she puts everything together with great, what am I trying to say, Sarah? Like she's totally together, a therapist and helps people. And
she's incredible. I mean, she really
we're both kind of in awe of her.
Very much so. And what she's just another strong person with, and incredibly intelligent and thoughtful and empathetic and
grounded,
and funny. And
and she helps others. I mean, that's the thing. She's helping the community going forward. And then we have our final.
Before we get to that, I wanted to say, because we're wrapping up this season and we, and I think one of the things that I have walked away with about how, you talk about how can adoption change? And I think one of the movements out there, and I'm going to state my opinion and say that I think this is a really good alternative, is rather than just adopting kids out, of course, there are children out there in the world that legitimately, need to be adopted or have help. But I think the idea that a lot of adoptees are talking about guardianship, right?
Yes.
Keeping their names, having guardianship, and then giving that family of origin some, time and resources to maybe get their acts together if they need to get their acts together. And
yeah. And
anyway, that's just
and be recognized in the process of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you. We kind of learned that with Casey's story, because he is in touch with the biological family, and they try to have that connection, and the grandmother's involved in their lives, and he's not threatened by that. And I think if it's open like that, everyone can love a child. Why can't we all love the child? Why does it have to be like this cut off thing? I don't know. And
change the name. Although, I do like my name better.
Well, those were young people naming us, right? In a different era.
Yeah.
I won't call you Donna. You won't call me.
And no offense to any Donnas out there. It's a perfectly fine name. I just feel like I'm better suited to, I should be Sarah Donna.
Yeah. I was like, you are.
I may be cutting this out.
Sarah.
I think I'm going to cut this out.
We've offended all the Tiffanys and Donnas.
Yeah. We'll cut this part out. Okay. So this leads us to today's guest.
Yeah. Today's guest is really a voice in the adoption community. And we wanted to have her on last to wrap up, because she's also a writer, as Nancy Verrier is, as many of our adoptees are actually, but she's really as you are. And she's really got a book that really hit home with a lot of adopted people. And we wanted to kind of highlight that, because, we follow her and people are really moved by her book. So I'm excited.
Me too.
And we love our, followers and all of you guys. And thank you for this season.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you in season 2, where we will be discussing Journey of the Adopted Self by Betty Jean Lipton. So please join in with us.
Please join. Thanks.
Bye.